It just makes me smile every time I think of my friend Paulie. He's a Laotian man who's been here in America for about 10 years, maybe a little more. Came because he felt he needed to leave the country, and he and his wife came as she was pregnant with a little boy who now we know is Chris, or his nickname Snow. Love that guy. That little boy came when the relief workers came to help after the hurricane. There was a bunch of Christians. They were having worship. He was there every night, just soaked up learning about Jesus. Never heard about him before, and came home and was sharing it with his family. In the meantime, his dad is doing all he can to help the neighborhood after the flood, not even worrying too much about the roof of his own home and the problems in his house, but out there doing what he can to help. We met him during that time. We were down there with our students from Reach the World Next Door, building up the houses and caring for the people. It was that, along with the many other people caring, that began to stir his mind about who this God was that his son was learning about. So when we were in his house visiting, and later as we were eating sticky rice together and making those little spring rolls and talking, the questions came up and he was interested, and I asked him, would you like to learn more of the story about God? And he said, sure, I'd be glad to. So we began to come. Sometimes the students would tell the stories. Ike was there, Soso was telling them, and as they shared, he just ate it up. He would read the scriptures in a loud Bible we brought to him. He would then he would watch the videos that Pastor Sang, the associate director there at ASAP Ministries, had made. He would watch them over and over 3 or 4 times. And one night, I think I've shared this before perhaps, one night we began to tell the story. My son, Josiah, began to share about how Jesus had died on the cross and opened a book for Chris to learn from it. Father was trying to listen in, but his English is not always so good in some of those details. And so I began to tell him, and it began to click. He said, that's what I couldn't understand about the story about Pastor Sang. Now I understand, now I understand. And he was thrilled. Well, his story continues. We didn't get a study for like 3 or 4 months with me traveling, but mainly with him trying to survive during the cold season. If Houston has a cold season, it does get pretty cold sometimes. Couldn't grow much, so he was trying to make a living, too busy to study. But when I came back from being in Laos, where I had visited his daughters, we got to meet up with them over there and eat supper with them, talk with them. They haven't seen each other in 10 years. Brought those pictures back home, showed them to Paulie and his wife. They were excited, just had a fun time sharing. Well, it was in that moment that he took out his Bible and said, maybe you think I haven't been studying, but I've read clear to here. And he pointed to the Gospel of John. I was so taken back. He was still studying. He was still learning. You know, one of the things that really helped move him from it's just knowledge to I really believe this is the day that he said, don't come for studies. I didn't go, but some of our team didn't know about it, so they showed up and saw he was in pain. His foot was hurting so bad he couldn't walk on it. And so they immediately decided to do charcoal. They put a charcoal poultice on it and had special prayer for him, told him the things that he ought to change in his diet, and you know what? He was healed. That very afternoon he was out walking and he knew there was a God, and these friends were the ones who should tell him about it. So those little acts of kindness, they make a big difference. Well, he's part of our new small group study in that town. As we did a full set of outreach with the Wildwood group, he came frequently and helped prepare the place so that we could show it and have it ready. And so now he's there, soaking it up, learning, trying to get his best through the language, reading and looking at things that we place in his hands, and who knows where it will take. But I want you to remember, it can be just those little acts of kindness. That one prayer offered to God in someone's behalf. Those are the seeds that are planted. And then stick with them, nurture them, care for them, continue to teach when you can, or tell stories when they're busy, or just pray for them when they can't at all. And God is going to use it until He brings them to that place where, as we're praying for this family, they can truly cross over to make God their Savior, their best friend, the Lord of their life, and their Savior for eternity. Let's do it. Together, let's reach the world ASAP.